Um, so, have you ever had anybody tell you, God, you look a very like such and such? Or, I met your double the other day. I've had people say that to me, you know, you look very familiar. I must have seen you somewhere else. And it tends to be that, you know, you've just got a double somewhere. And the term for that is a doppelgänger. If you've got someone who looks very, very like you, you've got a doppelgänger. And there was actually a famous film made in the 1960s called Journey to the Far Side of the Sun. And the premise for this film was that you have Earth, you have the Sun, and you had an identical Earth on the other side of the Sun, which revolved and they couldn't see each other. So this rocket took off from Earth, took around the other side of the Sun, and landed on the other Earth. At the same time, a rocket took off on the other Earth, went around the Sun, and everything was fine except, you know, when the guys landed on the other Earth, everything was back to front. So it was a very interesting film made in the 60s, but the whole point was that there is another place that is very like where we live. So the premise for this particular talk is, do we have a twin on planet Earth? We'll stick with Earth, okay? Do we have a twin on planet Earth for Poyntzpass? So basically, planet Earth, if we were going to look for a twin for Poyntzpass, where would we look? So what continent should we look for first of all? Should we look at America, Africa, Australia? Yeah, so let's look at Australia. And there's Australia, so let's zoom in on Australia, okay? So which state should we look in Australia for a twin for Poyntzpass? South Australia, which is round about here. So we're going to zoom in on South Australia. And there we have Adelaide. And Port Adelaide is where most of the boats arrived. And some people in the room may have been to Adelaide recently. So if we keep zooming on in about 60 or 70 mile northeast of Adelaide, we see places like Clare, Balaclava, Gipunda. And if we zoom on in, we see there's a wee kink in the road here. I'm going to zoom in on that wee kink in the road. And there we see Main Street. And we have, what's that, Poyntzpass Road? There we are. We have a doppelgänger in South Australia called Poyntzpass, so singular, Poyntzpass. And if I zoom on in, you can see here it's a lot of brown fields, not a lot of rain in this particular area. And if I zoom on in, we can see here there's one tarmac road, and the rest are dirt tracks. So that is that's that's Poyntzpass in South Australia. So we're looking about here, and the full address is Poyntzpass. It's what's called the 100 of English, Ayr County, Gouda region in South Australia. And a wee bit of history. It was once called Poyntzpass, but over the years the points got dropped and the point took over. So if I just look at a few more towns here in so there's the Poyntzpass area here. We've got a place up there called Armagh. I'm going to use this here, right? People say, Hugh, you're great in technology. So why aren't you using this pointer? So the pointer works fine, doesn't it? Except when you put it on the screen. It doesn't work. So I'm reverting now to this, which I borrowed from Frank Waters. It's also very useful because if I see anybody's eyes dropping, I go, right? Which is, again, I borrowed that from Frank Waters. So up here we've got Armagh, we've got Clare, we've got lots of wee places here called, there's one called Undala. You can't see it at the back, but it's Undala, D-L-Y-A. We've got Poyntzpass, we've got Udunda, Emu Downs, and I like this one, World's End. That's when it really gets bad. So if you want to see where the world drops off, go to there. So, okay, what's this got to do with Poyntzpass? I'm going to then look at some facts and figures about Poyntzpass, and then we're going to look at some photographs of Poyntzpass, okay, in case you ever want to visit. Now, the link between Poyntzpass and Poyntzpass is a lady called Anne Redpath. She was born in 1835. She worked as a milkmaid around Poyntzpass. I won't say in Poyntzpass, but somewhere near, very close to Poyntzpass. Her parents were called James and Grace, and she emigrated to Australia in 1854 with her sisters Lavinia and Letitia, sometimes called Alicia. But it's so Anne, Lavinia, and Letitia Redpath emigrated to South Australia in July 1854. When Anne arrived, they all did quite well for themselves, all three sisters. But when Anne arrived, she met a man called William Richards, and they settled in this place. And Anne herself thought that the lay of the land looked very like her home village, so she named it Poyntzpass after her place of birth. So that's the connection, simple as that. Okay. Now I tried to find out a little bit more about Anne and the Redpath, and it's very difficult because she was born before. I mean, the census records prior to 1901 were all lost, obviously. So all we can go on is really the Griffith valuation. So when I look at the Griffith valuation in 1862, this is after the Redpath sisters had emigrated. We can see here the Redpath in the general area. So it's basically down between Poyntzpass and Tandragee. You have all the Redpath families. It's where they've all settled. And my own belief is that there were milkmaids, so they're obviously living on a farm, and I suspect their father was this James Redpath in Drummonargle. So, which is, as you know, between Acton and Acton Lake, around that area. So I think that a farm there, and obviously various situations arose. This was 1854 was about 10 years after the famine, but obviously they decided there was better opportunities in Australia. I'm going to that's a hard map to read on this screen, so I'm going to skip over that. It's just showing the townland of Drummonargle there. So why did you leave? Well, this is maybe one reason, but I don't think it is the reason. This was from the Newry Telegraph in 1841, so the sisters would have been quite young at this stage, but you can see here in 1841 there was an Alicia Redpath was in court for assault. So, you know, you could maybe spin a story that there were just three fighting ladies and they were told to go, but I don't think that's the case. I think this is probably a relation because the name is the same and the area is the same. So it's probably just a relation, got into some kind of difficulty in 1841. Moving forward, what did Anne Redpath look like? I've actually got a photograph of her. So here she is with her husband, William Richards. And yeah, she'd done quite well. So let's just go back to 1854 and imagine this journey she went on from Drummonargle to Poyntzpass. So there's planet Earth. And I think we have a wee sort of boat here. You see the ship? Some sort of kind of sailing ship. And let's see, does that sailing ship? Yeah, there it's off. Okay. To South Australia. And Well, we'll cover that. We're going to do all that. So, the journey to South Australia, they got a boat from Warren Point to Liverpool, and then they sailed from Liverpool to Port Misery. Freudian slip. It's now called Port Adelaide, which is a suburb of Adelaide itself. The ship that they were sailed in was called the Nugget, a first-class clipper. It's actually quite a new ship. It had been built the previous year in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So they left on the 4th of April. 90 days later, they arrived in Adelaide. So quite a journey, 90 days it took. The passenger list shows there were four people from County Armagh, and I think there was nobody from County Down, but so 4 from County Armagh and Down. There's the 3 sisters and a woman called Mary Houghton, who I haven't looked up. But here it gives their occupation and their ages, so we were able to further follow that lead with any other documentation we had on the Australia end. It said here on the passenger list Alicia, but I think that might have been her sort of what she was known as. Her formal name was Letitia. Now, the ship that it sailed on was it was owned by the White Ball Line of Australian packets, and there's the ship there, the Nugget. It was 1,500 tons. The commander was a man called Renton, and they were sailing from Liverpool to Adelaide. And there's some interesting things here. This line comprised some of the finest and fastest vessels ever dispatched to the colonies. Every attention is paid for the comfort and convenience of the passengers. The dietary scale is most liberal, so a few nice meals. And quite unsurpassed by any other line. So each vessel has a surgeon and is always approved by the government medical inspector. So, I mean, this is an advert, so they're obviously trying to get the business, and the girls would have come along and picked a vessel to go on, and they would have sailed. This is a picture of a very similar vessel. I don't have one of the Nugget, but this is slightly smaller than the Nugget, but it's something similar. So it's just wind sail the whole way. Now, the journey to Australia, it started off with 411 passengers, comprised of 19 men, 77 women, single women rather, and 84 families. These were known as, what's the term, Frank? Is it that there was a shortage of women in Australia?
Female orphans.
So, there could have been female. There was another name for it, but this was government funded. The government actually.
Think of the Earl Grey scheme.
Earl Grey scheme, yes, yeah.
Barbara's doing.
Okay, right. But the government did fund. There was a shortage of women in Australia, believe it or not, and they encouraged women to take ships to go to Australia. And during the journey, there was 14 deaths quite early on, actually, from measles and croup, and there was 10 births. This was what the register said when they arrived. Okay, upwards of 100 single girls arrived on this ship, but were not of the class most in demand in the colony. So I don't know. You have to make your own mind what that means. Does it mean that there weren't, good, strong, women, strapping women, or were they not, pretty women? Or I'm going to get thrown out if I speak anymore, so I'm just going to move on to the subject. But clearly, there was a demand for women in Australia, and there are lots of letters written back from Australia to England at the time, which really articulate this is a good place to go to if you want to make a good living, if you want to get on in life, if you want to it's a warm place with lots of work, lots of opportunity. It was a great place to go. And that's maybe one of the reasons why these three sisters decided to go to South Australia and Adelaide. So after landing in South Australia, by October, Lavinia had married. She died in 1883. Letitia married a shepherd called William Greenfield, and the two boys who became station masters. And Anne got pregnant by a guy called Michael O'Shea. Then she lived with Letitia and she married William Richards. And she had 7 children with William. Now, I mean, in summary, all three sisters did very, very well. The Greenfield boys here, they must have been very, very good businessmen because they owned about 13,000 square mile of land. Now, 13,000 square mile is huge. Its value, its fertility, maybe not so much, not great, but it's huge. What's Northern Ireland, about 5,000 square mile? So when you're talking a huge amount of land that these boys done very well. And part of the reason why we know about Anne Redpath is because these boys did do very well and then went back and their offspring documented the Redpath story. So that's the connection between our Poyntzpass and Poyntzpass in South Australia. So what I want to do now is sort of look at some more facts and figures about Poyntzpass. So first settlers came around 1850. There was a general store, blacksmith opened. There was a meteorite strike in 1832. And the population in 24 was 410. It's dropped away off now to 87. Go back to the gala day. This was to celebrate the South Australia centenary. They built a swimming pool, lovely. And Minister Smith, I think this is quite interesting. Poyntzpass was noted for its godliness, and now it's noted for its cleanliness. And there was a cycle race, bun eating. I like the slow cycle race, but that's what we used to do, when we were young, obviously, when you didn't have any Game Boys or IT equipment to play with or whatever. We just made our own fun, didn't we? So lots of fun. And there was a commemorative stamp. This is not a great picture here on the screen, but you can see here Queen Elizabeth's head. There's the Poyntzpass post office sticker, or stamp rather. And that was to celebrate Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II when she visited South Australia in 1954. And that was actually, 1954 was actually 100 years after the Redpath sisters arrived in Australia. So I'm going to now do a sort of comparisons between Poyntzpass and Poyntzpass. So what we have here is obviously a picture of our own Poyntzpass, and this is a picture then of Poyntzpass. Oh crap! So why is it upside down? Anyone? Because it's down under. Okay. Now, where's Mark? Mark, can you help us here because we're going to have to. Can you? Tell you what, here's what we'll do. We're going to try some power of the people here. We're going to try and turn this around just by using your intuition, So if everyone could put their hand up like this here, right? And focus on the screen, right? Put your hand up, come on, up, right? Focus on the screen, right? No. Put your... Right. Put your hand up, right? Really focus on the screen. Really focus, right? And now twist. Keep going. Brilliant, well done. I knew it would work. So this is Poyntzpass, the centre of the little village. Okay. Now, primary school classes. This is obviously 1936 Poyntzpass mixed primary school. Yeah, nobody here. Probably some of our ancestors. And this is Poyntzpass. And the Poyntzpass school was opened in 1936, and that's a group of pupils. Their teacher was K. Potter. And the date of that is in 1943, that picture was taken. So working in the fields, here is some thrashing at Loy's farm up the old road. I think that's my grandfather's thrasher. So my grandfather's probably somewhere in here. And then this is chaffing wagons in Poyntzpass. And they're chaff wagons with Hessian sides. And that was taken in 1910, that photograph. So they've still got the horses pulling the wagons behind them. Blacksmith. Here's my grandmother's brother, Paddy McSherry, at the anvil. And here is a blacksmith shop in Poyntzpass. So this is Morrick's Blacksmith Yard, showing Carl wearing the apron. It's hard to see here in the screen. Charlie Morrick at a holding wheel, and a horse-driven blower at the forge. And that photograph was taken in 1890. Delivering bread. Okay, again, I have another relation in here. This is my uncle-in-law, Jerry McCann, and delivering. That was PJ McCann, yes. And here we have a delivery bread van in Poyntzpass. This was it's a German name. I won't even try to describe it, but that was taken in 1930. That delivery van. It says on you can see there Poyntzpass. So marching bands. There we have the Poyntzpass Concerted Flute Band. And here we have the Poyntzpass Brass Band. So there's lots of comparisons here. This band was taken in 1829. Hotels. Now there's a number of hotels in Poyntzpass. I took this one. I don't know why, but at the time. But I included this one because at the time I never knew this was an hotel when I was growing up in Poyntzpass. I just knew this as a Henry Clark's shop. I never knew it was an hotel. That was actually the railway hotel in Poyntzpass. And here we have Heinrich's Hotel in Poyntzpass. The photographs aren't great, but can't do much about that. And here is Rowett's shop and hotel in Poyntzpass. That photograph was taken in 1900. Okay, sporting stars. There's Rory and Simon. And Rory's done all right for himself, to be fair, hasn't he? Yeah, he's done all right. There he is, hugging. What do you call him? Paul O'Connell, yes. There's too much hugging in rugby for my liking, but and sometimes Roy did fall over. There he is falling over. I think he's scoring a try. And we are very proud of Roy because he led Ireland to beat the All Blacks twice? 3 times? Twice, yeah. So we are very proud of Roy. Now, I've got 2 more photographs here. I think the women in the room need to sit tight here because this could be a wee bit of a shock to the system. So please don't shout out or scream, but here is another picture of Rory and Simon. Quickly moving on. 2 posers, aren't But fair play. I think this was done to raise money in a calendar. I'm sure he's very proud of this photograph. If anybody wants a copy, just ask me afterwards. And here's a much older photograph. Here's the boys Roy Simon and do you like the underpants? Superman, yeah. So yes, we have our sporting stars, as do the Poyntzpass. There's the Poyntzpass cricket team. So they get much better weather in Poyntzpass for cricket than we do. Traditional music. So we've got a traditional music band here. This was St. Patrick's Accordion Band in 1959. No, sorry. There's my dad up on the right there as well. And this is the Bush Band at Poyntzpass with Arthur McCalloch, Gary McCalloch, Herb Ost, Eddie McCalloch, Arthur Hand, and standing is Adolf Koster, and that was in 1910. So quite a busy wee place with all of this going on in Poyntzpass. Keeping fit. This is another scary photograph here. This was the winners of the Poyntzpass road race, and it was a 10k road race up to Drummondtown and back, 1987. So there's yours truly. Who's that guy there with all the hair? What? I think I seen John Campbell in here, didn't I? There you are, looking well. And there's that guy from Catchagoogoo. He's a 1970s, 80s pop star, I think. I'm not. There was a few ringers came into that race. That's why I didn't win. I think I came fifth, but there was some guys came in from Lurgan who were obviously, more professional runners than I was. I'm not bitter about it, but I should have won. Here is the Poyntzpass Gymnastics Club. These boys done everything in Poyntzpass for such a small place. They weren't lacking in ideas and ways to entertain themselves. So you can see they're all. We should do this tonight ourselves. Try this. See what happens. Now celebrations. So here's some of our own members in Poyntzpass out celebrating the 12th. And there's Griff. And I was going to say the usual suspects, but out celebrating. And here we have in Poyntzpass. Now this is 1918, so they're celebrating the end of the war. Okay. So they had a big celebration and a big long parade in Poyntzpass to celebrate the ending of World War I. Now, racing pastimes, there's a number of racing a few boy racers in Poyntzpass. Here's one boy racer from a few years ago. Again, that's Griff. We also had girl racers, and that's my mum. But if we skip down to Poyntzpass, here is the midget speed car and motorcycle races in Poyntzpass in 1965. So these guys took their racing quite serious. So different events, and it all looked very exciting. There's all the official names, etc. So do we have a picture of the racetrack? Yes, we do. So there is the racetrack in Poyntzpass, and their little buggy. From the sky, there's Poyntzpass, and this is the racetrack down here. Sorry that picture doesn't come out very well. Maybe this one is better. This is a more up-to-date picture. They had a reunion of the boy racers, and this is their trucks that have been going. And so they had that reunion back in 1965. That reunion happened, and lovely blue skies as well, of course. So that all look quite fun. Now, we found a lot of comparisons. We also have a train comparison as well. So here is a Adelaide. And Poyntzpass is somewhere between Udunda and Robertstown. And that very thin line means that that track has now gone. It's been lifted. But the point is, they did have a railway that went through Poyntzpass from Udunda to Robertstown. So, we obviously have a railway, and there's our crossing. And this is the railway track going through Poyntzpass. So they did have a station, etc., etc. I did a bit of a comparison on the two stations here. So the name of the owner, the name of the railway, when it opened, we're much earlier than theirs. All sorts of traffic. Is it currently staffed? No. What was the line? And altitude was, that's about the height of the mountain where the big stone is outside Rostraver. So if you imagine being up on the top of Rostraver Mountain there, that's the height that Poyntzpass is above sea level. And that's the distance from Adelaide. So we're a bit further from Adelaide. So there's a Poyntzpass station. And there's a Poyntzpass station. I don't know who those two women are, but that was taken in 1900. So bringing things up to date. Nearly finished here, guys. We're going to finish early. So bringing things up to date. So, well, in fact, I did this about in 2009. These were the residents of Poyntzpass, just taken from the phone book, so in alphabetical order, okay. And you can see there's a strong German contingent in Poyntzpass. No, didn't see any sort of, certainly no Irish names as such. And I think Heinrich is the one that I was communicating with about in 2009. He sent me some of the photographs. So there's an up-to-date picture of Poyntzpass with a speed limit. That'd be 60 kilometres per hour. Yeah. You can see it's still quite burnt looking. There's the Poyntzpass Hotel is still up and running. So if you do want to go, you have somewhere to stay. And this is the gold-painted Lutheran church in Poyntzpass. Lutheran Lutheran church in Poyntzpass, but a lovely gold spire there. And the hotel we saw earlier on now looks like this. And there is the current residents, Diane and Aubrey Heinrich, have been living there since 1976. It was called the CFL store from about 1880 till about 1950. So it was quite a central part of Poyntzpass during its era. And this is the home of John and Marge Schultz. And the reason that I've included this one is because this was the original home of Anne and William Richards, Anne Redpath. So whenever Anne moved here and built her home, this was the home this is the place that she built. I think it's been renovated a few times, but this was where she lived. Now, again, that's not a great photograph, but there's some artwork here which is trying to, for the benefit of the people in Poyntzpass, to show them where their history was. You've got a bit like we have down at the top of the Canal Bank. This bit of artwork is a sort of a 2-dimensional piece of art showing that the emigrants who came to Poyntzpass many years ago. And this is a view from up in the hills above Poyntzpass. And I was using this to try and look and see, why did Anne Richards or Anne Redpath decide to name it Poyntzpass? So, but I haven't really been able to find that particular view that made her think of her home village. Obviously, Poyntzpass is in a little bit of a dip, and this was something similar as well. So, I'm about to wrap up here. When I was doing this talk, the oldest Red Path people that I could find in the villages were from Tendrigee. I think they're sadly passed away now. But I did go down and meet Peggy and Robert and told them about this story. And they did have a few more visitors coming from Australia who did talk to them. But they were able to help me with some of the Red Path history. We weren't able to connect them with the current Red Paths. But these were certainly, if you go back far enough, are probably connected to the Red Paths who went to South Australia. So, as part of this talk with Poyntzpass and Poyntzpass, we've been trying to work out some kind of an exchange program. And my idea is that, hang on, don't be jumping the gun. Don't be jumping the gun. I've decided who we want to bring to Poyntzpass, and it's this lady here. I think she should come to Poyntzpass. Okay. The question then is, who should we send to Poyntzpass in return? So, and I've been trying to run a vote here, who we think we should send. Okay. So the first thing is maybe our old friend, because he could obviously talk history with them, and and he'd get a good repartee with Poyntzpass, and he would take that on board. And then, of course, there's Ian Copeland, and I know there's a lot of people going for this one, and myself, obviously, but. And to be fair, I mean, the price of a ticket, one-way ticket's only 1,500 quid. So we could do a pass the hat around. I'd be happy to go. And of course, wouldn't leave out Roy. I'm sure Roy would want to go. But Ian's good lady, Annabelle, asked me to put this last one in to make sure that we get Ian, So you can pay me for that later, Annabelle. But I think Ian's a good candidate,
The nice thing what you should do would be send two people on separate planes and take one plane would come.
That's right. Contingency, Don't put all your eggs in the one basket. This is why I put two Ian Copelands up here. Make sure he goes. So the line's closed tonight at 9 o'clock, so just make sure you get your votes in. That's really the end of the talk on Poyntzpass. Here's this photograph was taken after one of their church services, and I said, "Look, send us a photograph of the villagers." So they all got together and gave us a big wave. So I want you all to give them a big wave. That was taken a lot of years ago. So. Thank you, Anne Redpath, for giving me the opportunity to tell you about Poyntzpass. Thank you very much.